Hi and welcome to the lecture on building trees using curves. Okay, in this lecture we're going to build various shaped trees as discussed in the previous lecture. Some straight ones, curved ones and different shapes. But here we're going to use a different technique. We're going to use curves to actually form the shape of the trunk, which should be pretty cool, I think. So we're going to start off by building some cylinders. Like this, and at various times throughout the lecture I'm going to speed it up because I'm repeating myself over and over. So if it goes to fast forward, then that basically means I've taught you what you need to know to create the thing that I'm actually working on at that present moment in time. So you should be able to, continue going forwards. So I'm just modifying my cylinder here to the correct resolution that I want for these trees. Change the colour to our standard drab grey for each of our objects, box objects. Yeah, I just had a few more height segments there because I didn't feel like it was enough. Okay, so convert it to a poly, standard procedure. I'm going to make about 5 of these, so we'll copy them 5 times. I'll speed this up slightly just to get ahead. So you have 5 objects, 5 cylinders, just like that. And I'm going to make them all slightly fatter, thinner, different sort of shapes using the scale function. And just be careful what part of the scale gizmo that you use. Different parts you do different things, as you can tell. If you want it just in one axis, just use the axis. If you want 2 axes, use the flat sides. If you want it in all 3, use the central triangle. Get this a smaller thin tree. So line them up. Okay, so there we have 5 trees. Now I'm going to look at them in the left. You can see I've changed it at the top to the left view by pressing L on the keyboard. And I'm going to position them so I can see them in the left view. There you go, space them out nicely. Like that. Go back to perspective view and just pull them all in a line like this, so that you can, when we go back into the left view, they're all lined up nicely. There you go, that's it. Okay, so left view, see now they're all lined up, they're all in a straight line in perspective view, which is exactly what we want. Okay, now I'm going to use soft selection to do what we did before and just modify the mesh, but it's I'm gonna sort of taper it like a tree is, and you can see it, the influence is gradual all the way down through the trunk. Using the fall off, you can influence how much of the tree trunk is affected and by how much. So just go along and do that for each one. I also increase the base just because trees have a wider base. I mean, when we do the final ones, there'll be a lot more detail, a lot of branches, and they'll look pretty cool, and they won't be as simplistic as this. But it's quite cool because it teaches you some modeling techniques while we build our box models, all ready for when we create our final high-res versions. Again, I shall Just increase the base. And what I'll do for the next three, I'm going to do exactly the same, but I'll just speed this bit up. There we go. Just go along to each one. If I don't speed it up, it becomes a bit monotonous just watching me manipulate verts. You know, you've learnt the technique, so you should be able to pull it off quite easily. Okay, so there we go. There's our 5 trees just tweaked. I'm just going to tweak that last one a little bit more. Okay, there we have it. There's our 5 trees, all standing up in a nice straight line. So now we need to make some curves. Yeah, make sure that the view is left. In the left view, go over to shapes, create shapes, and ensure that your drop down is set to splines, and then select line. It should be the first one on the list. Leave rendering and interpolation as they are. You don't need to do anything with those. In creation method, that initial type is smooth and drag type is smooth, and then start clicking in the viewport to create a line. Right click to finish creating your line, just like that. Now I've split the viewport, so I have left at the top and perspective at the bottom, just for this. Or you could split it vertically if you prefer. It's entirely up to you, but I just prefer to do it like this. So next thing to do is select, turn on edges so we can see what we're doing here. Right, so select the first tree on the edge, go over to your modifier list, click on it there, modifier list, drop down menu and select path deform WSM. Right, now go down to the parameters and click on pick path, and then go over and pick your path. Okay, and you'll notice your tree will just fall over. Okay, but go over to here where it says XYZ and click Y, and you'll see that it stands up again. But if you look in the left view, you can see it's not quite lined up with the path, so we're going to change the percent and we're going to slide it until it's roughly right and in position with our line, like so. Yeah, there you go. So it's nice curved, and we can scale, and we can change these other values to sort of tweak it further if we wish. Yeah, just tweak the scale so it's the right length, roughly the right length. If we move the gizmo, you'll see that it gets closer. If we move the gizmo closer to the line, the object will get closer to the line. And if we use twist, we can just twist it slightly so that it follows that curve even more accurately. So this is a really powerful tool, and you can create all sorts of organic shapes and springs and all sorts with this method. So it's really cool. Then you want to go to collapse 2. So go over to your stack, right click and click collapse 2, and then just select yes when you get that message. And that will turn our mesh back into an editable poly, and it will detach it from the line, and the mesh will be independent in the shape that you've defined. So now we're going to do the next for the next tree. So we can change the shape That's it. Just pull it around a bit more until you're happy with it. Like this. That's it. Okay, deselect that. Select your next tree. Just pick one. Go down and pick in the modifier list again. Path deform WSM. Pick the path with your tree selected, like that. See, pick the path, and you'll see the tree falls over again. Just need to get it, rotate it to the right axis. That's it. Click on the Y, and then modify your percent so that it follows the curve a lot more accurately, like so. And it's just to tweak the values just to finish it off there. There we go. Yep. So just modify the twist value. There we go. Pretty cool. A twisty tree. Now right click in your stack, go to collapse 2, select yes, and that's another tree done. So at this point I'm going to do the same for the remainder of the 3 trees, and I'm going to speed the video up, and I'll see you at the very end once all my trees have been deformed. Don't forget, change the line. Select path deform WSM. Pick your path. Orientate it correctly so it's standing upright. Select Y on the axis. Use the percent modifier to get it in the right position. And you can see the bottom there actually on this one is a bit weird. So you can actually modify the line real time, and you'll see the mesh deform when that happens. Yeah, how cool is that? We can always modify these after they've been done. They're only box objects, so it's not that important. And there we have all our trees, nicely wobbly and yeah, a bit more natural. Pretty cool. And of course in Unity we can scale these, rotate them, we can make even more different variations of all the trees. I just delete the line there, don't need that line anymore. Just to make everything else visible. There we go. So here we go, this is all our trees so far. We're not going to do branches or canopies, we don't really need to at this stage. I'm going to show you how to do that later for the higher resolution trees. I'm going to sort out all these pivot points all in the wrong place. So go over to pivot, select a pivot, select effect pivot only, center to the object, then right click on the move transform, and on the Z select 0, and it will just position it onto the floor. There you go. Do the next, same, center to object, go to Z, set 0, down on the floor. Just do that for all 5, sorry. Do that for all 5 trees. You have to move that one slightly because of the curve, and the bend is sort of like making the mass of that tree slightly more, and that one slightly. Yeah, move that in a bit. And the same for that one. 0. There we go. So that's the pivot points local to each tree. You can see they're quite big, those trees. So, you know, I think they're going to work quite well. Compared to our little barrel, they are quite huge. But like I said, we can change. This is the whole point. We can modify them so they're all ready for our high res. I'm just going to pull them into the fold a little bit closer, just to have a look at them all sort of close up. There we go. You know, you can see they're going to work. So even just looking at them like this, you can imagine them, you know, as a forest full of trees. They look really cool, actually. Yeah, just space them out a bit. Imagine them with a lot more detail with roots, bark, moss, you know, really lovely textures and PBR textures. They just look really, really, really cool. Okay, so now we have to rename them all. Yeah, white box, big tree. Okay, white box, medium, big tree. So I'll scale it down so I know which is the smallest to the biggest. So name them accordingly. It's really important to get your naming convention right. Yeah, so the middle one's medium tree. Next one's down, something medium small, perhaps. Yeah. And then the final, smallest one can be small. When I go into Unity and I'm just looking at little icons of them, I can just tell what they are by the names. So it's quite important to get that right. Yep. So we've got some creepy looking shapes there, which is looking really cool. You know, in the night in the forest, you're gonna want these really odd looking shapes, and that can be quite menacing at times. Okay, now to sort out these pivots, remember we've got to rotate them all. We've got to reset the X form on each one of them. Let's do that. There we go. Reset the X form just to make sure that they're set. And then remember, rotate the pivot on the X 90 degrees. There you go. Next one. In fact, you can do them all at the same time. If you left click and select them all, right click on that, click on the X, 90, they'll all do that at the same time. There you go. Save a little time saver there, which is quite useful. And you can see they're all set at 90 now. Yeah, all at 90. Cool. Excellent. So there we have it. So our box tree's done. I think that's plenty for us to be able to create our scene. Which is where you'll save the file. You can see I've named it. I've just bumped it on. I always do this just as a backup device. As well as the auto backup, I just start saving and I increment the number on the end. So I've got different versions of them. Quite handy. And that's it. So hope you enjoyed that. I'll see you in the next lecture.